We have a wonderful guest in our studio today. But first of all, we also have Sarah, our Vice President of K4CO. How's it going, Sarah?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's lovely outside. It's great to be here on a Saturday with an amazing interview.
Exactly.
Of course, I love supporting nonprofits in the community, so this is right up our alley.
Well, this is definitely up our alley because not only is it nonprofits and one that supports something that we really hold dear, but also music.
Exactly.
So
two
just
pretty
the
cool
two
things to
right
merge.
together. Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Mr. Bob Fontneau here, who is one of the organizers for VetStock 2025, which is going to be place June 13th through the 15th at Max Taps in Highlands Ranch. How's it going, Bob?
So well. Thank you guys for having me here.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you for coming. We absolutely love it. So, first of all, tell us a little bit about it. Of course, it's a nonprofit that's dear to our hearts, but also mixing it with some great Colorado music.
Right.
VetStock.
Right. Well, all right. So let's start with VetStock really quickly and just so I don't want to bury the lead because this is what we want everybody to come to and donate to.
Right.
But VetStock is in its fifth year. This will be our fifth VetStock, and it gets a little bigger every year. This year we have about around 25 musicians and bands playing, including a touring duo called the Talbot Brothers, who are originally a small town in Nebraska, but who are really making it right now, and just releasing their next album, I think next week. So
next
they'll
week.
be playing a lot of really new material at VetStock. And VetStock is to support an organization called Warrior Bonfire Program. And Warrior Bonfire Program's mission is to, the bottom line is to prevent suicide in Purple Heart veterans who were wounded in combat. And it's, it's a kind of an important thing that we do. And I really feel strongly about it.
For sure. For those that are listening, we're also on Facebook Live, on Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube. So if you are listening and watching actually on your computer, if you want to check it out, go to warriorbonfireprogram.org and you can read all about the lives that they are saving. And it's really cool. Actually, the whole nonprofit is to build support communities, foster healing, transform and save lives. And it's, are you a Purple Heart recipient looking to connect with other Purple Hearts? So I know that that's a big component of the Warrior Bonfire Program. And we were talking about off air a little bit. So when those that have served that come back, that's really important to you, that we actually care about our military. And I was curious, why does that resonate with you so much?
It just makes sense that if you're going to send them over there and break them. I mean, these are people who've been wounded in combat. You got to fix them when they come home, and we have to, and we have to do that. And the government does some. The VA does a good job, but they serve a lot of people, and they can't necessarily reach them one-on-one and put them in the groups that Warrior Bonfire can to. And I guess that leads to explaining how Warrior Bonfire works. The Warrior Bonfire Program started in Mississippi, started by a man named Dan Fordyce. And he wanted to do something for these guys. And so what is that has evolved into a program that puts small groups of Purple Heart veterans, generally like 6 Purple Heart veterans, puts them together and takes them on what they call bonfire trips. A bonfire trip could be, it's a long weekend, and it could be to the beach in Florida or California, or to the mountains here in Colorado to go skiing, or to a trap shoot in, down in the South somewhere. But they put these guys together for 3 days with professional counseling, with, people from the organization, with a very, very, very well-defined plan of, how they're going to get these guys through the weekend and how to kind of form a unit of them. And then at the end of the weekend, they have a bonfire. And they all sit around the bonfire and they tell their stories. They talk about their friends they've lost. They open up about things that they would never open up to, and this is the important part, things that they would never talk to anybody who wasn't there about. I mean, they're not going to tell you what happened, none of that.
And I was going to bring that up actually. So our vice president, who we recently lost, he was a Navy SEAL, and yeah, they don't really talk to people unless they were there. He befriended somebody who was also out there, and they shared a lot. And so I like on the Warrior Bonfire Program website, it says promoting camaraderie, because they're not going to sit down and talk to somebody who has no idea what they're talking about.
That's correct.
About their experiences. So I really like that part of it.
Yeah. So by the end of this weekend, then and the ceremony, basically the weekend ends with the bonfire ceremony, and one of the big parts of the bonfire ceremony is they retiring a flag, and the guys all write what they're feeling. They write the names of their friends they lost, whatever they want to salute on this, they put on that, and then the flag goes in the fire, and that kind of wraps it up and brings it all together. And then when these guys, if they're having a bad day, if they're, they'll reach out to these other guys that are now in their unit. They're like a unit,
Right.
and they'll reach out to them instead of, bad things that could happen.
For sure.
So one of the cool things that we've incorporated over the last couple of years at VetStock is we do the bonfire ceremony at the end of VetStock. So Sunday evening, after all the music's done, we'll be out in the parking lot, and everybody circles around. And Mike Foss, who's president of Warrior Bonfire here and is here in Colorado, will lead the bonfire presentation, and there's not a dry eye.
Sure.
Everybody in the crowd, all the musicians, everybody is just wiping tears. I mean, it really is a very touching thing, and it gives you a sense of what these guys are feeling too.
I had a couple of follow-up questions for those that are listening that are saying, wow, I know someone. I mean, everyone knows someone that has served. It's very infrequent that it doesn't touch our part
Correct.
of life. So is this, how can people get involved? So if you have served and you want to get involved, or if you want to help sponsor or learn more information, is this Colorado based? Is this a national program? Are there different chapters? How is it set up like
It
that?
is, yeah, Mike, who is the head of, the head of Warrior Bonfire and the administrator of Warrior Bonfire, Mike Foss, is here in Colorado, in fact, in Centennial. And he's, he runs things. And Helen, who is his right hand, she's in Florida now, but she started out in Mississippi, and where the organization first started. So we're kind of a little bipolar there on the on where you would say it is, but we can here we consider it a very, very much a Colorado organization, and but it's nationwide as far as where the veterans come from. I mean, we take in people who have been identified as at risk for suicide, and they either come to us or we find them, but from all over the country, and bring these guys together. And it's so it is national, and we have board members in all the in New York and California and Florida and Mississippi, here, all around the country. So it is very much a national organization, but a lot of what we do is based here in Colorado too.
I love it. Well, if you're listening and you possibly fall into this category, if you have served and are hurting, if you're feeling like you need to reach out, you are not alone. We talk about this frequently on the radio station with our nonprofits. There are always other people there to help support you. And if you know someone that this might help benefit, please reach out. You can go to warriorbonfireprogram.org. And if you are here in Colorado, definitely come help with VetStock. There are so many ways to get involved, and we're going to get into that. But I am curious with your personal journey, because you came in through the music side of things.
I did.
And you moved around a bit. Sounds like New York and then here to Colorado. So tell us a little bit about your journey of how that transpired.
Well, I always wanted to be in the music business. I got out of school. I moved to New York and tried to get into the music business, but they didn't really want me. But,
That's why we're here.
Right.
It's very hard to break it.
I've always been very much an avid, especially live music. I mean, and my wife and I, we've been married for 32 years, and we go to way too many concerts, and we pass that along to our children who go to more concerts than we do. But live music is kind of our life, and we go to festivals. We do a thing called the Rock Boat every year that sails out of Miami and goes around the Caribbean with 30 bands on it playing all over the boat, and it's a blast.
I'm jealous.
And in fact, that's where we got the Talbot Brothers. We had the Talbot Brothers played on the Rock Boat this year, and they'll be headlining VetStock this year, which is kind of a nice little synergy. Mm-hmm. But between 9 and 10 years ago, after just a friend of mine and I doing karaoke for a number of years, hanging out, in karaoke bars, we finally decided, well, let's just go do some open mics or, play in, and not just sit around and wait for our songs to come up in karaoke. He's a very good guitar player. And so we did. And like the second or third time that we went out, my wife, Patty, who is a wonderful flute player, said, I'd like to play with you guys. And we're like, okay. So then she started playing with us, and she was in the band. So now we were a trio, and we were playing at an open mic. A guy walks up to us and says, you guys need a bass player. Yep. And we went, why, yes, we do. And he was in the band. And then we were playing a party, and a guy sat down and started playing cajon with us, Bradley Scott, one of our neighbors. And suddenly he was our drummer. And then we were a band. And we were playing, and then a woman that we always sang karaoke with at Alibis. You guys ever go over to Alibi?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. So she got up and sang a couple of songs with us, and it sounded so good, and we said, okay, you're in the band. And then
Nice.
then we were a 6-piece, and that was like 9 years ago. And maybe 6 months later, Mike Foss, who's the head of Warrior Bonfire Program, and he and I had coached our kids together in football when they were really little, and hadn't spoken in a number of years. And Mike reaches out to me and he says, hey, I hear you're in a band. And well, yes, I'm glad you heard that. I'm glad it's getting out. And he said, would you guys be interested in playing once a month at the VA hospital? And we talked it over, and we said, you know what, that sounds like a perfect thing for us to do. So we would go and play for an hour and a half in the lobby at the old VA hospital before they moved it out to the big giant facility out there. And there we played in a conference room, and it was hard for people to find us. But when we moved to the new hospital, we played in the lobby, and it was so cool to watch these veterans, and you get a real sense of who the VA hospital serves. I mean, it's a much older demographic. It's a very diverse demographic, and much more so than the general population. I think a lot of older black men and women coming through, and but they would walk through and they would hear the band, and they would, they're on their way to probably their worst day of the week because they're going to the hospital for something, right? Mm-hmm. That's never fun. Mm-hmm. And then you would just see them, and some of them are in walkers, but you would just see them start bobbing their heads, and listen to the music, and they'd stop and they'd listen, and they realize, oh my God, I gotta get to my appointment. But I mean, we'd be up there almost with tears in our eyes. So, happy to be doing this for. It was really cool. So that's how I got involved with Warrior Bonfire Program, and then got, more and more involved, and ended up being on one of the boards, and kind of led us to where we, toward where we are now. And they do great work, and it's a real small organization, and there's not a ton of overhead. There's not like a bunch of people getting paid a bunch of money. Everything, what gets raised goes to these bonfire trips, and the bonfire trips cost a fair amount because they do a really nice weekend for these guys. Mm-hmm. And but it all goes to them. Yeah. And I mean, you can't do better than that.
Nice.
Not at all. And I love the VetStock logo where it says music saves lives. Really like that line right there.
Right.
So, I mean, music is such a huge part. I brought it up a couple times, but there's a documentary about people with Alzheimer's memory issues. And there's a nonprofit that would provide iPods for them because they didn't know the names of their family. They didn't know their friends. They didn't know anything, but they heard a song. They knew the lyrics.
They knew every lyric.
They sang every lyric. Exactly.
I tell people that I'm not going to remember your name because my entire brain is filled with song lyrics.
Right.
I only remember song lyrics.
Unless your name's Eleanor Rigby.
Right, exactly.
I'm not going to remember.
Exactly. But you're 100% right. I think and that's the other, these other studies about how brain function is improved by listening to music. I mean, just in general. And I do believe music saves lives. I know music changed my life very much. So I'm glad to be able to do something for other people with this.
Nice. So it went from playing at the VA. And what was the conversation like to say, well, we should do a VetStock?
Well, so of course, because it's a very similar situation, and time wise, it certainly is. Did you guys heard about COVID, right? There was a thing that went.
I didn't.
There was a little thing that went through called COVID, and which shut down the world, right? And so I'll tell you a music related story about the world getting shut down. I was in New York to hear the Brothers, all the living members, the Allman Brothers.
Oh, wow.
5 years ago, they did this at Madison Square Garden on March 10th, 2020. And the next day, the entire world shut down, and I had to figure out how to get back from it. I was like, it was crazy. But also at that time, they stopped letting people play. You couldn't go to the VA hospital unless you were a patient, and they limited the number of patients who could go. So we weren't allowed to play at the VA hospital anymore. So that stopped, which was disappointing because we loved doing it.
Pretty much all music stopped.
Right.
Yeah.
But and at the bar, because we have to talk about Modern Brew and the Modern Brew community because they're a huge part of how this evolution happened. There was a bar at the corner of Holly and County Line Road called Modern Brew, and the owner, Ken, started Modern Brew in 2019 in November or whatever, right there in 2019.
Like 5 months before everything.
Opened a bar, coffee shop right before COVID, and boom, everything shut down. At about that same time, the guy who ran Lincoln Station, do you remember the bar? There was a bar called Lincoln Station at Lincoln Station.
Yeah.
Patrick, he left to move to Florida, but he had a music community there that they were playing open mics and shows there, and they all kind of migrated over to Modern Brew. So now Modern Brew is basically just a bunch of musicians hanging out trying to figure out what to do, and then we started playing out on the patio and doing things like that. He got the ASCAP and BMI license so that bands could play covers there. And then it really took off. And so Modern Brew kind of became the home for the music community in that part of Centennial. And but he's still not making it because it's COVID. It's hard. You can only put so many people in the bar at a time. And so I said, well, we should do something. We should do a music festival. And then, of course, immediately, as soon as I said that, and we should do it for Warrior Bonfire Program. And so I reached out to Mike, and I reached out to Ken, and the three of us got together, and we started planning, and that was in 2021. That was the first VetStock, and it was in the parking lot out back behind the bar. We had everybody socially distanced on picnic tables spread out around the parking lot, and the music was great. It was all local musicians, like the Jack Hadley Band. I don't know, they're a tremendous blues band. They play every day, every night in somewhere in the Denver metro area or up
And they're one of the headliners this year,
They
too.
are, and this will be Jack's. This will be their 5th year playing VetStock,
that's
and,
cool.
and
They've
I
been
can't
with it all
tell
the way
you
along.
how much I
Nice.
love these guys. We have a few 5-year guys, like the guy who will open on Saturday, a very good local musician here named Rob Wivchar, who plays everywhere. He just plays solo. He'll be playing his 5th VetStock. J.C. Allen, I think, is playing his. I mean, these guys. They live to do it. They want to do it, and it's like I wouldn't be able to stop them. So yeah, it's really cool. So that was the first VetStock. That was 2021, and we had it perfectly mapped out to do it during COVID. We had it all spaced out. We're in the back parking lot. There's maybe 100 people there, and they're all spread out. And it rained. So then we moved everybody inside and probably became a little super spreader, but it was, but it was fun, and we had a great time. And the final act on that show that weekend was Sean Eccles, who is the guitar player for Andy Frasco in the UN, and he just killed it. He put on just a super solo set, just fantastic. And I think at that point everybody was hooked, and they're like, "All right, we got to do this again. We're gonna do it again." So we just turned around and immediately started planning, VetStock 2022, and it's just gone from there. And it gets bigger every year and better every year. And last year we had our headliner was Sam Birchfield and the Scoundrels, who are out of Atlanta. He's a Carolina kid, but but they're based now kind of out of Atlanta, and really, really fun. Great band. And we've had Good and the Painters have played a couple of times, and are playing again this year. And they're a Fort Collins band that you don't want to miss. I mean, they're so much fun and so exciting, and have such a positive message. Really, really great.
Nice.
Yeah.
I want to shout out again, just for people who are listening. If you want to get involved, either to be a sponsor, because you're still getting,
Yes, please.
if you own a business or you think this is kind of your jam, no pun intended, go to warriorbonfireprogram.org/events/VetStock. Still looking for sponsors, but you're getting more every single day because this is really gaining momentum, which is great. Again, I wanted to mention the dates. It's coming up here pretty soon. We're about a month away. So it's Friday, June 13th, the 14th, and the 15th. And it's Friday evening from 6 to 9 p.m., Saturday, pretty much the entire day.
Yeah, we start with yoga at 11 o'clock in the morning. So bring your yoga pants and your mat and do yoga with Davida, who is one of the great yogis in our part of town and really does a nice job.
So get really relaxed, stretch, and then just rock out. I love it. So
Yoga pants.
Saturday, 11 a.m. to come do yoga, and then noon to 10 p.m. So it's an all-day music time fest at Saturday, June 14th. And then Sunday, June 15th, again, is all day, 1 p.m. to 9:30.
Yes.
And the two headliners, the Jack Hadley Band, the Talbot Brothers. And it's so amazing. Friday kickoff party. We love Boudreaux. He's in our rotation. He's been in here with an interview.
We have a couple artists that are playing that are in our rotation, including Boudreaux.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. So, Friday's going to be amazing. Boudreaux and Splinter Cell. Saturday, a whole bunch. There's so many. Just go on. I think you have a total
25 bands.
20.
Like
20
I think
plus.
you play Wade Sutton here.
Wade Sutton is in our
And
rotation.
So Wade was at open mic last night, and I was telling him I was coming to talk with you guys today, and he wanted to say thank you, for playing his stuff.
Oh, awesome.
And but yeah, these guys all, and they're we pay our headliner to come because these guys are coming from, they're in Portland now, but they were just here this week. But the Talbot brothers, who are a Nebraska duo, they grew up in a small town in Nebraska, just like 30 miles from the Colorado border, and made it out. They're just about to release their next album. Comes out late next week. Mm-hmm. Really fantastic. It's a kind of a Americana country rock kind of feel to it, and incredible guitar players, great harmony, that family harmony. When you hear brothers and sisters singing together, you go, oh yeah, they're related.
Oh yeah,
these guys are
like the
fantastic.
Jackson 5. I love
They
it.
are fantastic.
Well, thank you guys for all that you're doing. I just wanted to mention that. I mean, this is why K4CO was born in Josh's brain, because he's been a musician for 30 plus years and wants to get them out there. And it is so community oriented, where you keep building each other up and have things like VetStock. And I love that you go to so many festivals. We try to get as many concerts as we can, and we're so fortunate to live in Colorado, and they keep kind of springing up. I'm hoping that Lone Tree, hint, hint, Marissa Harmon, if you're listening, that, all these cities are starting to have their own venues. Here in Centennial, of course, we have Fiddlers.
Sure.
And, Museum of Outdoor Arts owns it. So they, of course, bring in the nonprofit element. We have Red Rocks and all these really cool venues. So get out there.
We're getting into springtime and summer where you have free concerts
and
in
we're
the park.
kicking into Levitt Pavilion 50 free concert season. I mean,
Right.
there's great music everywhere, and not just the touring acts, the big names and all that stuff. I mean, most of these musicians who play or playing at VetStock are our neighbors, our friends, and they are incredibly talented. I mean, there are some. I mean, I could and should name names because they're all given their time, but there's just so many of them. But I mean, I walk into the bars, Modern Brew or Max Taps or even. You got Faro Italian restaurant is doing music on Wednesday nights, and they have we do an open mic there. It's unbelievable. There's just music somewhere every night, basically around Centennial, and it's all very, very talented people.
For sure. Oh, It's all over the place. Sorry, I apologize. I didn't mention that earlier. So it is. So Friday, June 3rd, Saturday, June 14th, Sunday, June 15th. And this will be at Max Taps, which is in the Highlands Ranch.
Right.
VetStock,
again, go to warriorbonfireprogram.org/event/VetStock and come. See the event. Come be a sponsor. It's a great way to get involved with you and your company.
I don't know that we said the most important word about VetStock.
Okay.
It's free.
Oh, okay.
It's free.
A free concert,
we will love your donations. If you come, I think your heart will be touched, and I think you will probably want to donate. We pass a boot around in between acts. A combat boot, a worn combat boot, and take cash donations. We'll have QR codes set up. People will be able to donate. We also have a VIP area that people can pay. It's $25. You get a shaded seat where you can get 2 free beers, which just about pays for the $25
pretty much
cost.
Yeah, at Mile High Stadium, that's one.
Yeah, right. You're right. So there are ways we will make revenue, but the festival itself is free, and you will never see so much good music for free.
It's amazing.
As
If
you see there.
20 plus, you're supporting our veterans and you're supporting Colorado musicians. I mean, it's a win all around.
Yeah. Or, let's say you don't have that much money or anything like that. You can come listen to some great music, see exactly what they do, Warrior Bonfire Program at this event. And look at some great Colorado artists. Most of the Colorado artists that are playing this are probably like the ones in our rotation where they have their full-time jobs. This is their passion. This is their love of music and everything. So VetStock 2025, if you're just joining in, that's what we're discussing. Friday, June 13th through Sunday, June 15th. How did you guys get hooked up with Max Taps?
Okay, so we love Max Taps. First of all, Max Taps is a great music venue. They got a really nice outdoor patio in the summer into fall. The music there is always great.
And the patio is dog friendly too, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And our band Centennial, which is such a giant ripoff of Boston. But we were sitting around trying to figure out a band name, and I go, "How about Centennial?" And everybody looked at me like we didn't come up with anything better. So we've been Centennial for like 9 years. But we play at Max Taps, and I've always loved it. And Dave Gardner, the owner of Max Taps, is incredibly supportive of music and incredibly supportive of causes like Warrior Bonfire, does a lot of fundraisers there. And Really fantastic. But how we ended up at Max Taps after doing 4 at Modern Brew was that eventually the restaurant business is just so hard. And Ken and some of the neighbors who had bought in and were helping to keep the place open because it was our living room. We wanted to, keep it going. Just couldn't do it anymore. And in October of last year, or it might have been early November, Modern Brew closed. Well, now I'm planning a festival in June that was going to be at Modern Brew, and I've got 7 months to figure out what the heck I'm going to do. And so I went to Dave at Max Taps, and I said, "Would you be willing to do this?" And not a second hesitation. He jumped. He's been great and has really taken on a lot of the responsibility of it and doing a lot for us. And can't thank Dave enough. And we ended up at Max Taps for VetStock 2025. And then 2 months later, a guy comes in and buys up Modern Brew and opens it back up, and it's now still just a cranking music place. But Max Taps is going to be a great location for us. They really have that nice patio and then the nice front stage area, and then there's also the back room where the acoustic music will be. Because one of the things I learned is that if the band stop playing, people leave, right? So you have to have music going all the time.
Yep.
But you can't have music going all the time when you have to change out the sets.
Yeah.
So we have the bands are playing on the front stage, on the main stage, and then there's a half-hour acoustic set in between each band, and that leaves my sound man Ted. Thank you, Ted, for everything. Scrambling like a maniac for a half hour to get these bands set up to be ready to play. But the music never stops. So you've got bands playing on the main stage, and then as soon as they're done, everybody just goes back to the acoustic stage, listens to the acoustic act for a half hour, and then comes back out and listens to the next band. So for how many hours it is, 10 hours or whatever, it's just constant music.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that too when it comes to different styles. Because I personally really love the singer-songwriter, the acoustic kind of unplugged type stuff. But I love the bands too. So to just kind of go back and forth, it allows you to have so much variety of different talent playing at VetStock. So I really like that idea right there.
I agree. And coming from I am not a musician. I always want to preface all of these interviews with my wonderful musicians that are here. I'm an avid listener of music, but so I can appreciate when we've all been to a concert and a venue where the music does stop. And then it is kind of that stale time. We were at a concert last summer that we were fortunate enough to be around, kind of a block party festival. And I love that you keep the music going. It keeps people engaged. So you have the headliner and then you have kind of auxiliary performers, and it keeps people going and it keeps the flow going, people intrigued. And like you said, you want people to stay. Yeah. So you figured out the sweet formula there.
Well, I stole the idea. We're talking about exactly. No, we were talking earlier about going to festivals, and there's a festival in Louisville, Kentucky called Bourbon and Beyond, which is, look that one up, Bourbon and Beyond. Okay. 4-day music festival, 2 main stages, and they're right next to each other, right? So there's these 2 main right next to each other, and for the whole day, the band plays on the oak stage. And then as soon as they're done, there's like a 2-minute, and then the band plays on the barrel stage. So the people sitting out in the crowd don't have to move. They just it goes from stage to stage, and the music goes on all day. And I thought that's the coolest thing, because you go to most music festivals, and there's a main stage over here, and then 7.5 minutes away by bus or whatever is the other main stage, and so you're just spend the whole time running back and forth between the stages, and I just thought it was such a great idea to always have the music going. And so when we did VetStock, that was I was working it out with Ted, our sound guy, and his colleague Ross, who has been a great help to us too. The good, really good sound people. and they got Shure microphones involved, and Shure has been a sponsor now for a couple of years, one of our really good big sponsors.
Sure's a staple of microphones. Oh yeah.
So good. They're so good. I mean, you can run them over with a car and they stay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
Please tell me you've tried.
no,
Oh, okay.
no. But I've seen the commercial, I think. So that was important to me. It's like, I just want the music to go all day and I don't want to stop. And so it puts a lot of pressure on Ted, but he does a fantastic job. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
as your sound guy out here probably knows, like handling this kind of stuff isn't that easy.
It's
No.
Again, I do none of it, but just watching it unfold, I'm
Right.
like, oh yeah, good luck with that. It is plugging in and wires and where it goes. It's no easy task. So hats off to people who do the tech stuff.
And a lot of people don't realize, especially, people who are not musicians or anything like that, that a lot of the magic, the absolute magic, comes from your sound guys.
Right.
Comes from your mixers, your masters, your sound engineers, the person that is really mixing all of this live at the concerts. That's the majority of the magic to make them sound that good.
Right. And as you said, nobody appreciates a great sound guy, but everybody notices a bad sound guy.
Oh yeah.
It's like when you're at a show and the sound isn't good, that's when you realize how important a good sound guy is.
Exactly.
And we've been very lucky, and Ted's a great volunteer and very, very active and really believes in the cause. So
Nice. Well, I wanted to mention one more time, because you're still looking for sponsors, but
Right.
like you said, someone came in today, which is amazing.
Yes.
So they keep trickling in. When a person, how do they reach out to you if they want to sponsor this event?
there's a few ways. The best way is probably just to go straight to the Warrior Bonfire events VetStock page.
Okay.
And for people who are watching this, that's been scrolling at the bottom of the screen during the interview. If you're listening on the radio station, this is warriorbonfireprogram.org/events/VetStock.
And we're also on Facebook on the page VetStock 2025. Go there, and then you can just send us a message there, and we will find a way for you to give us money. Don't worry.
Well, awesome. So if they want to sponsor, what would they get?
All right. Well, they'll get mentioned. They'll be on all the posters. They'll be on all the art around the festival. They'll
All the
be on
promotional
everything. All the
materials.
promotional materials that go out in advance. They'll be on. They'll be mentioned, and we have what we send out to potential sponsors tells what they get. They'll get.
Perfect.
The more VIP passes you get for the VIP tent. That kind
For
of
the
thing.
shade.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
shade.
That's
The
valuable.
shade. So it's literally when you do a festival in Colorado, I've learned that you are either protecting yourself from the sun or protecting yourself from the rain, and sometimes
Hail.
both at the same time.
And sometimes hail.
Right.
Exactly.
Hail and yeah.
You
It's,
do not want that at a festival. We've been.
Welcome to Colorado.
If there was wood, I would knock it because we really don't want hail. But we do get.
We'll knock it for you.
But we do get rain. Last year in the middle of Hazel Miller's set, which was going so brilliantly, she's just so fantastic.
She's a staple in Colorado.
So good. And but in the middle of her set, it started to pour, and it poured for a half hour, and we probably lost, a couple hundred to a couple hundred people there. But then it stopped, and even as it was lightly raining, and the house music was playing, while Hazel's, we had their equipment covered and everything. People just were out there dancing in the parking lot, kind of in the puddles, just dancing in the rain, which
Yeah.
is just a beautiful thought. And then it stopped long enough. The lightning and all that had passed, and we cranked Hazel back up. They finished their set, and then and then Sam Birchfield and the Scoundrels came out, and it was a great night of music, and everything was great. But you're gonna get weather, and you have to deal with it. And the nice thing about doing it at Max is there's a lot of space inside where if we have to herd people in for weather, we can kind of get everybody out of the weather.
Awesome. Well, again, for those of you that are listening and want to get involved, go to warriorbonfireprogram.org /events/VetStock. Again, this is an amazing festival supporting the Warrior Bonfire Program where music saves lives. I love that tagline, which takes place at Max Taps in Highlands Ranch, Friday, June 13th through Sunday, June 15th. It's a full 3-day festival with 20 plus different Colorado bands, and some are coming from outside of Colorado for the headliners. And an absolute, if you want to support anyone who served in the military, if you want to find out more about Warrior Bonfire Program, which is a fabulous nonprofit, if you know someone that is suffering, know that you're not alone. And there are always people out there who understand. So check them out. Just if you have served and you're thinking, you know what, I'm going through kind of a dark period, please reach out. And if you want to get to be a sponsor of this event, get your business name. And it's a free event, by the way, which was mentioned earlier, to see 20 plus Colorado music bands outside supporting a nonprofit. If you're not there, something's wrong.
So even if you don't, again, have much money, but you want to even just support Colorado musicians, wonderful Colorado bands, come on down. A free event, free music is amazing. And music is always great live. That's one of those things. There's a lot of music out there that I wouldn't personally listen to if I'm in my car or something like that. But live, it makes everything better.
That's right.
And when we started this station, we're hooked in with quite a few great nonprofits. But one thing that we said is that we want to help support military. And here you are, military and Colorado music. So it's just a wonderful fit.
Exactly.
Well, we are very, very grateful, to have you guys, kind of partnering with us on this. And, the fact that you guys are as supportive of Colorado musicians as you are, I've been talking to people in our circle. It's like, hey, if you got original stuff and, get it to them and see if you can get on, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, let's get it out there because these guys, they're so talented. I mean, we have so many really, really talented musicians in the area, and they've all got jobs, or are retired or whatever. But I mean, they just love to play, and and they'll play for, they come and play, like really talented musicians come and play at our open mic a couple of times a month and don't get paid. They come to play a 15-minute set, and you just go, what did I just hear?
Right.
I mean, they're so talented.
For all the musicians that are possibly listening, I mean, talk a little bit more about this open mic that you have. It's still on County Line in Hawley. Yeah.
So in fact, both of the places we do it now, because for 3 years we did open mic at Modern Brew, and it is always so good.
That's the one, County Line in Hawley.
That's County Line. If you're in the area and you know where Big Bill's Pizza is or any of those.
If you don't know where Big Bill's Pizza is,
so it's
need to.
So it's at the opposite corner of that shopping center.
Right.
Anyway, we love the live music there, and we love all the musicians there, and they all come and play at the open mic, and it starts at 6:00 in the evening and goes until the last person plays. And last night we went till almost midnight. I mean, it was really, really fun. But every time we do it, there's just a completely new experience. Like I was telling you earlier, last night, a couple who had just moved here, boyfriend-girlfriend duo from Kansas City, moved here 2 weeks ago, had heard that we had an open mic and that looked up Modern Brew and saw that the pad looked nice, so they decided to come by and they signed up, and they were amazing. I mean, it was like, and everybody, and the thing is, most of the crowd is musicians, so it's a very respectful audience, and they're singing, and you could hear a pin drop in the bar at the time, and everybody just kind of moved up toward the stage and is standing around listening to it. And it's one of those like goosebump moments you get. It's really, really cool. We had VetStock eventually too. They're really good. Nikki and Shay, were their names. I just met them last night, but they're going to be around. They're going to play at Modern Brew, and then so of course after doing it at Modern Brew for 3 years, last October was the last one, and Modern Brew closed, and we're like, oh my God, what are we gonna do with open mic night? So I spoke to the people at Faro Italian Restaurant, which is right across the street, still on the other corner of Holly and County Line, and they were doing music on Wednesdays. They had just acoustic music going on Wednesday evenings, and I said, would you guys want to do an open mic night on Fridays? We just lost our space, and they said, oh yeah, sure, yeah, and the owner is just really cool. He's a music guy. He actually, at the last open mic, the owner of Faro got up and played with our house band at the end. I didn't know he could play guitar. It turns out he could.
Nice.
He took the solo on Comfortably Numb. We were playing a little Pink Floyd, and he took the solo. It was fun. Anyway, so we moved the open mic over to Faro, and then Modern Brew opened back up, and I was like, well, do I have time to do 2 open mics a month? And turns out, yeah, I have time to do 2 open mics a month. So we do one the second Tuesday of the month at Modern Brew, and the Friday. Sorry, did I say Tuesday? Second Friday of the month at Modern Brew, and the last Friday of the month at Faro. And the music is insanely good. You guys should come.
Nice. Oh, we'd love to.
Absolutely.
I know. We would have been there last night. A lot of things collided last night with a lot of good music around the state. But
that's the thing. There's so many choices.
Right, which is, I know, a good problem, I think, to have.
Because we went to see the Talbot brothers, who are our headliner for VetStock this year, were in town this week to play a show at the Black Buzzard at Oscar Blues downtown, which is a really cool venue.
Yeah.
Really,
it is
really
nice
fun.
down in the basement.
Yeah, that basement is like, you first walk down there, like, okay, and then you go, oh yeah, this is cool. This could be like a speakeasy back in the 20s or something. Right?
Oh yeah.
Right. And so we're, but our kids, who are huge Talbot Brothers fans also, they were often Turnpike troubadours. So, it's like there's just too many opportunities. But it's fun. So
it is. Fun. It is. We really are here in Colorado, especially Denver, just kind of like a center of it. I think we need to be a music hub. I think we are. We're just not recognized as one.
Well, we are by the musicians.
By the music,
they live to play Red Rocks. It's like that people at bands all over the country. They want to play Red Rocks.
It's still in the top 5 in the country for
sure.
amphitheaters.
So I do social media for Colorado Music Hall of Fame, and have been working with them for 3+ years now, and have gotten to really know a lot about, how we became that music hub here. Barry Fay and Chuck Morris, these guys who were visionaries of getting, how do you get these musicians to come to Colorado, to come to these small venues. There was a venue over on West Colfax called the Family Dog in 1967. Between 1967 and 1968, for 8 months it was open.
8 months.
For 8 months, and Barry ran it. And if you look at the history of this place, for 8 months, just go and look at Family Dog Denver at some point, and look up who played there in the 8 months that it was open. And it was the Grateful Dead. It was Janis Joplin. It was everybody in that whole San Francisco music scene, because they were related with the Family Dog in San Francisco. So, like, that experience, like, if I could go back in time,
I know.
Just do that 8 months, because I wouldn't want to necessarily live in 1967 again or whatever. But I would go back and enjoy that. And then they got shut down by the police because the dang hippies were smoking pot. The police just shut the bar down after 8 months. There's a great documentary about the Family Dog Denver and I don't remember what it's on now, but a friend of ours produced it, did a fantastic job. But the history of music in Colorado is insane. There's so many great musicians came out of here and are still here. And we'll keep producing them because music is so important here. I mean, it really is.
It is amazing just in those, 8 months or so that you said, just looking it up. Acts like The Doors, Van Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, Cream, Buffalo Springfield, Janis Joplin, Chuck Berry, as well as Grateful Dead. I mean, wow.
Right?
That is just absolutely amazing.
How do we get that here?
But we have that. But we have that here. It's spread out. You know, it's spread out now. There are so many. I mean, again, it's a good problem to have that there are so many venues spread out all across the Front Range. I mean, they just opened that new outdoor venue
down in the
2 years ago,
Springs.
down in the Springs, which is gorgeous. I haven't. The show I went that I had tickets for last year got canceled, so I haven't been yet, but I will get to a show down there soon. But I mean, people don't even know about this yet, and it's a gorgeous venue that's getting good performers. You know, I mean, there's just so many choices.
I'd like to go there as well. I haven't been there personally, but from the pictures, it looks like, when you're looking at the stage, behind the stage is just the Rocky Mountains. Right. And I can just imagine it kind of towards sunset, like listening to a great band playing with the mountains and everything. Just
and a brand new state-of-the-art sound system. You know, I mean, it's like when these new places open, like you look at Mission Ballroom. Mission Ballroom, what an incredible venue that is. I mean, that sound system in there is just ridiculous.
Yep.
But then the stuff that's been around forever, you look at Cervantes, and the Masterpiece on the other side, and you go there and you hear these incredible bands in this really cool, unique room that was part of the jazz scene back in the 30s.
A long time ago, yeah.
Crazy. It's crazy. It's really cool. It's a great music town.
When
I'm glad to be with VetStock 2025.
Definitely. Yeah, I just remember when Sublime was canceled up at Red Rocks recently, they decided to play Cervantes, the other side, just up and, hey, we're going to play here. And tickets definitely didn't last long.
No, and I caught one of those where the Allman Brothers, years and years and years ago, moved from, they had a show that they couldn't do at Red Rocks because Red Rocks somehow double booked them or something, that they moved to the Ogden.
Oh, wow.
So from Red Rocks to the Ogden. And I happened to be one of the lucky people who got, the tickets to move down and was standing, 2 feet from the stage at the Ogden, right between Warren Haynes and Derek Trucks. And unbelievable. Anyway, but there's so much music here. And, I love the fact that we can use it for the right things too. I mean, the fact that these guys, these musicians are all very giving people, and they're very, they're willing to give their time, they're willing to give their energy, to a cause like Warrior Bonfire Program. It's just wonderful.
And if you're just tuning in or something like that, Warrior Bonfire Program, it's for opportunities for the lives of Purple Heart recipients. And I really like how it's on the website. It even says the donations create activity-based, stress-free programs to promote camaraderie.
Correct.
And that's the biggest thing, where you provide a space where the people that were actually there that will talk to each other do talk to each other.
And it works. I mean, you can check the track record. You can, it works. And we were talking about it before, that they won't talk to us about what they saw. These are Purple Heart veterans wounded in combat. These are guys who have been through the really bad stuff. Right. And there's really bad stuff. But they won't talk. They won't talk to their wives about it. They won't talk to their friends about it. They won't talk basically to anybody who hasn't been there. Right. So the object is to get them joined up with people who've been there, people who've seen it, people who know what they're going through, the people who feel that same pain. And so, God forbid, they hit that point where they're going to make a bad decision. Instead, they pick up the phone and they call one of these guys and they talk about it.
Exactly. I mean, because they believe, which I don't blame them for that. No one will really understand unless they've been there. I mean, it's just one of those topics you just really cannot even fathom what they went through.
But the statistics with our veterans are so horrifying. I'll take two. Suicide, for one, which is what Warrior Bonfire really, really is trying to prevent. much, much higher than the general population among veterans. I mean, it's a ridiculous. It's 20. The number they throw around is 23 a day. It goes up and down, but I mean that's a lot. But also homelessness. You know, I mean, these guys, they end up on the street, and it just shouldn't happen. You know, I mean, we should be taking better care of them. And like I said, we try, but you know, and organizations like Warrior Bonfire help, and in our small way, we really help individuals. Like some organizations, you know, you target groups, but this is a problem that has to be targeted on an individual basis. And the more money we can raise, the more guys we can help. And that's what the money goes for. And you know, that's why we do VetStock. That's why we do all the other things, is to try to raise money for these trips to save these guys.
And thank you very much for everything you do. And Warrior Bonfire Program, check it out, especially if you're just tuning in. If you're watching it, it's been on the bottom scrolling the whole time. But if you're listening on the radio, warriorbonfireprogram.org. Just amazing organization that really is going to be the ones benefiting to do what they do at VetStock 2025.
And there'll be information there. You know, Warrior Bonfire will have a tent at the festival, so veterans who want to get involved in the program, or people who want to help, you know, become volunteers, get more involved. We'll be able to talk to Mike and Helen. Will be there talking to people, and there'll be some other volunteers from the program. Really, it's a good opportunity to find out more about Warrior Bonfire Program.
Well, I love it. Bob, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us. I mean, and again, for those of you just tuning in,
oh my goodness.
I know it goes by quick, doesn't it? I know.
I didn't know if I was going to be able to talk for an hour. That actually went very smoothly.
We could probably talk for another
I know,
hour.
right? We could talk for a long time about music and about helping these guys.
No, exactly. You know, really good
So a couple
information.
let me
Yes.
do if we got a couple of minutes.
Of course.
Real
of course.
quickly, I want to thank all of our sponsors. Thank you guys so much. I won't name them here because it'll take a little bit too long. I want to thank all of our volunteers. My wife Patty, who on the day of the festival, running around, going to the dollar store and getting bunting and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's always last minute stuff. She handles all of that. Ted, our sound man, Dave at Max Taps. All the Warrior Bonfire staff that will be there helping, all the great musicians who are going to be playing at the festival. I mean, it takes so many people to make this. Megan Meeker, who reached out and contacted you guys.
She did.
Yeah.
Megan she just got involved this year. Megan is another person who goes on the rock boat cruise with us.
Nice.
She goes on the rock boat cruise. I had not really met her on the cruise, but she had connected with our son Harry over some shows. And she found out that the Talbot brothers were playing at VetStock, and she just said, "How can I be involved?" And you can't stop her. I mean, she really is out there now trying to raise awareness and trying to get people, people like us involved, and has done a really great job for us. So thanks, Megan. I'm forgetting a ton of people, but everybody who's done anything ever in the 5 years, I want to thank them all very much, and hope we get many more.
So true. It takes a lot of people to make a nonprofit work. There's so much behind the scenes, and I've been there so many times day of where it's like,
Right.
we need something. Yeah, let's see. On the website so far, you have Rotary these are your sponsors. Yeah. Sure, Rotary of Club of Highlands Ranch, Green Cross Empower Financial Coaching, Lane T. Gunnell, Allied Universal.
Leanne's one of our local realtors in the neighborhood.
Awesome. From Dream Homes. I love it. Allied Universal and Max Taps, of course, where the event will be held.
And on the way here today, I got a text from Neil Huffman, who is an insurance brokerage, saying that he wants to donate. And
awesome.
he volunteered to sponsor us, and thank you, Neil.
Nice.
So yeah,
you keep growing.
Yeah, and if you're out there and you have want to get involved and you don't think you can come to the festival, you can still help. You can sponsor. You can donate. Go to the site.
For sure. Yep. Still definitely time. Again, go to warriorbonfireprogram.org/events/VetStock. I got it right that time. Music Saves Live for VetStock 2025, taking place at Max Taps in Highlands Ranch, Friday, June 13th through Sunday, June 15th. With 20 plus bands there, a 3-day amazing festival, and to support a great nonprofit and organization. So definitely check it out. It's a free concert, so definitely be there. It's going to be hopefully beautiful weather. And if not, we can all hunker down inside and sing together. It'll be great too. Yeah, exactly. And you'll hear more from us coming through for the next couple of weeks. We're going to be promoting it, of course, promoting it all over social media. So please tell your friends, the more the merrier. And again, Josh, you had mentioned this earlier. A lot of times people say, I don't have a lot to give, but just think if you have 300 or 400 people there and everyone chips in $5 or $10, it really starts to add up. So please give what you can, and it all adds up.
Yeah, give what you can and enjoy some wonderful music, including in K4CO rotation, Boudreaux, who's playing Friday, and Wade Sutton, who's playing Sunday.
Yep.
Amazing artists right there, and a bunch of others. It's just going to be a great time with a lot of music for a wonderful cause. So check it out at Max Taps, June 13th through the 15th. VetStock 2025. Bob, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you guys for having us. I mean, this is... It's great what you guys do. You support music and you support the community, and it's really cool. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Really love it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do know that this interview, if you just caught the end of it, especially on our radio, it is going to be on all of our social media platforms for the next month here. YouTube, it's going to be on indefinitely. So you can go to any of our Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can find it and you can watch it all from the beginning. Check them out, warriorbonfireprogram.org. VetStock 2025 happening June 13th at Max Taps in Highlands Ranch. This has been an interview on K4CO Radio. We're going to get you back to some wonderful music. I believe blues is next after this. So you guys take care. Have an amazing Saturday. And speaking of wonderful Colorado artists, at 5:30 today, we are going to have Denver's own Bailey Elora into the studio playing live and talking with us as well. So definitely tune in for that. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday.